Okay, so this is like a quick spur-of-the-moment thought that I had that slowly morphed into this scatterbrained rant video game tirade as I desperately tried to go to bed at 7 a.m. in the morning. Fucking chirping birds, just shut up! But yeah, the thought that floated around my head was that Final Fantasy 15, despite the marketing, its presentation, and what the reviews all said, is not an actual road trip. See, to me at least, and also more or less by definition, a road trip consists out of going from point A to point B, preferably by car. But in Final Fantasy 15, apart from like the first 2 hours or so, you know, them going to the docks basically, the game isn't like that at all. You have this entire country, or continent even, at your disposal, and you can go around in circles willy-nilly as you please. It has the aesthetics of a boy-hole buddy bang, sure, with the cooking trips, going out fishing, taking snaps, but something kinda started to break for me when we took the scenic cocksnap of the exact same vista for the third fucking time. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking the game at all. It has its fair share of flaws, but if anything, this trip with the boys vibe was what kept it so entertaining to me. Like, even mechanically, it added a lot as it gave the game this MMO-like raid design style, implying that you could track out into the wild to slay some wicked beasties, collect the spoils, and reap the rewards back at base. It reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy XII in a way, albeit considerably less meaty, but still a cool choice nonetheless. However, it is not a road trip. Not a single one at least. I mean, you could most certainly argue that the entire adventure as a whole is a collection of micro road trips, being that each time you set it on a quest, it is a road trip in and of itself. And where that argument might be totally valid in the sense that that is what they could have been going for, I still don't think that the island which you're on facilitates this all too well. To me, the game would have been better had the map not looked like this, but instead like this. Let me elaborate on that. Open world games are a big deal during this here decade, so logically Square wanted to capitalize on that, which is fine, but that had me worried. Thing is that there are certain schools regarding open world design, being the GTA styled one, where the world is chock full of interesting and fun shit to do, making the sheer act of moving around entertaining on its own, not relying on bullshit checklists and arbitrary filler, just simple and clean, fam-friendly, hooker-killing fun. Then there's the open world as a backdrop style of design, counting games like LA Noire, Bully, and Mirror's Edge Catalyst, these often having a sandbox that isn't really meant to be dicked around in much at all, as you're still mostly dragged around by the narrative, save for some optional quests that are usually still framed in much a similar manner. And finally, there's the Ubisoft train of fuck, relying on big, dumb, bloated checklists of torture, forcing you to go up, down, right, back, round, doing all kinds of menial tasks that are technically optional, but not really because fuck you. Now, luckily, despite what I feared, Ubisoft became the laughingstock of the industry for a bit, and while I'm sure Anal Creed 2 and Far Cry 3 are as good as people say they are, and Watch Dogs 2 looks like a neat meme in its own right, they almost entirely retired this design style and have gone back to the proverbial drawing board, and thus, Final Fantasy 15 didn't take after the now unpopular choice and went with the safest option, aka the backdrop. So, all in all, while I do totally still prefer more linear story-driven games, them opting for this allows them to still have some linearity, but also have this big, grand open vista that seems really interesting when all you do is just pass on through. Just, you know, don't expect anything fun to happen when you're mindlessly running around like it's fucking GTA 5. So, which is it, Square? Which is it? You'd think that with me being this positive about it, that I wouldn't have so much of a bone to bone with it still, but I actually do. And here's why. It is 8 a.m. and I still haven't gone to bed. My world map is better. Basically, the story, its characters, and even just the world of EOS would make a lot more sense if it were structured like a more traditional JRPG. Barring the fact that somehow them driving out of town over a bridge and through the city gates wrecked their no doubt expensive Imperial car, like, seriously, what else am I supposed to infer from this? Insomnia is right there, outside of where the world map ends, and here we are, only a stone's throw away from the gate and the car's dead. I know there's the anime that I think implies some type of journey had been going on. I think, I don't know, but already shit feels off when you really start to ponder the logistics geographically. A lot of the elements in game, both on the storytelling presentation-y side of things and the gameplay side of things, feel to me like they were built for a game structured more like the map what I made. What I mean with that is the way in which the story is dispersed during the open world segment makes it seem like the actual moments of occurrence chronologically are irrelevant, as these events really do happen at random. At first, these will seem like a nice surprise until I notice how odd it is that emotional breakdowns or long-lasting crushes happen without any build-up or real weight put behind them. Fleeting, as it were, whereas had they been a part of one big sequence of events, you know, like a linear choreographed road trip, they would have all at their own designated place. And I know, a lot of these things are hinted at prior to occurring or afterwards through casual banter while walking, which is great, but even that would have been more stronger had these dialogues not have been within a fucking vacuum. Hell, even Final Fantasy XIII did a decent job of building up to certain events. Kind of, with how they kept enlarging Hope's hatred for Snow whilst also broing him up big time with Lightning going full Onechan-sama on that bitch. The suspension of urgency, if you will, during the main plot is incredibly fucked up as it is now.
Quickly, we must cross the seas to save Lady Lunafreya.
Not before we spend about 20 hours fishing, joyriding, dungeoning, and buying noodles, though.
Yeah, had the game had been less open, they could have built up and crescendoed towards big moments much easier, and most, if not all, in-game interaction past boys would have made so much more sense. Like, quest characters wouldn't just awkwardly teleport to whichever town you just so happen to be in, for instance, as they would have been out on the road going to the same place for different reasons. You know, like what Final Fantasy X did with its memorable side hoes. They could have been better characters like this too, actually having arcs that don't mysteriously end after having been alluded to during the first two encounters, so when that big turtle happens where they all gather around to help you out, it would have actually been one of the hypest optional congregations of optional things ever. Oh, I nearly ran out of breath there. Jesus Christ. But no, fuck that. Sandbox. Screw your friends or screw the war. The same goes for how a lot of punch is taken out in the uncovering of Dunge, entering a mysterious cave with mythical foreign enemies in a faraway land that's actually right fucking next door. Like, there could have been pacing, more of it at least. It has pacing, some good, some really absurdly awkward, but to me, going on a road trip would have been much cooler had they packed up in insomnia, traveled to Cindy's, found out that the boat was a fuck, and then went on this long-ass cross-country journey around the ocean that they were going to cross otherwise. Stopping at truck stops, towns, running into buddies, going out fishing and jogging, having the emo bro moments and the forced corded off dungeon areas just as they are already, only with more room and thought about when and where they actually happen, and them just not randomly deciding to stop at a local park to do what exactly? Suddenly, Arden asking you to drive with him to a place feels like actually going somewhere unknown with an uncertain guest, rather than just driving down the same road you literally just drove down yourself, only now with some awkward dad. They nailed this shit in Final Fantasy VII, where you follow Sephiroth and stop that meteor. Sure, you can veer off to a chocobo farm or help out a Warntor town, but when you get back on track, Midgar Zalem, plot, focus, objective. Like, it works. Final Fantasy VIII did it too with the trains, and you can go to Dalit, but
nah fam, get your ass back on the train.
And in Final Fantasy IX and Final Fantasy X, and basically fucking all of them to some extent, they pull a linear open world structure adventure off with or without a world map. So, as to why they chose to write a game that is literally a cross-country road trip with a clear-cut objective and a place to go, but decided to say, nah bruv, just fucking do whatever you want mate, is entirely beyond me. And like, I fucking love this game, dude, trust me. I spent like a dick ton of hours in it, and I even cried near the end. It made me feel emotions for a fucking car. A fucking car. But, god damn it, I just really wanted my big dick, big budget PS2, PS1 style JRPG adventure, and I'm salty. Yeah, that's really all this video was. It's 9 AM now, so, goodbye.